The Hungarian Foreign Affairs and Trade Minister, Mr. Péter Szijjártó, arrived in Sri Lanka this morning, and Newsfirst had the exclusive opportunity of catching up with the minister during his brief visit here. Welcome and thank you for joining with Newsfirst this morning.
Thank you very much for this
opportunity.
opportunity.
You're having a busy schedule. It's such a short visit. What is the purpose of your visit?
Well, actually, I came to celebrate a success story, a common Sri Lankan-Hungarian success story. Since Hungarian companies will start the investment project of building two flyovers here in the capital and around. Today we have the groundbreaking ceremony. It is a 52 million euro investment, and the Hungarian company is the head constructor, general constructor, and the Hungarian Exim Bank, which is under my portfolio in the government structure of Hungary, finances this investment, 52 million euros of tied aid credit. Your Minister for Highways has invited me to celebrate this common success story together.
What is the reason for embarking on such a massive investment in Sri Lanka?
Look, we have a long-lasting good political cooperation between the two countries. We always approached each other on the basis of mutual respect. We never interfered into issues of each other. We never judged or lectured each other. And back in 2011, we have signed the first tied aid credit agreement, in the framework of which Hungarian companies have reconstructed your water treatment plants in the framework of an investment of 34 million euros. And based on this good tradition, we have been negotiating since 2017 on the next big project, which falls in line with the strategy of yours to upgrade your highway system. And these two flyovers are now going to be built. The steel structure is already under production in Hungary. The first shipment will arrive in May, the last one in November, and the whole investment, I mean the two projects, will be completed by October next year. And hopefully with this we can contribute to the upgrading of the traffic situation, transportation situation here in the capital and around.
Right. Minister, speaking of foreign investments, we don't quite see the European countries showing a lot of interest when it comes to investing in Sri Lanka, especially when compared to countries like India and China. They could seem quite backward. What is the reason?
Look, I think geographic distance is the most important factor here. But since there's a big or long geographic distance, we, the states, the governments, have to do our best in order to help our companies to work together. And that's why the Hungarian government ensures financial background for these investments through the Exim Bank. We ensure the economic background by negotiating with your government about the agreement on avoiding double taxation. We ensure the political background by having a balanced relationship, and we also ensure the let's say the physical circumstances, as we are now negotiating about the mutual recognition of the vaccination certificates. In case of an agreement, we could allow our citizens, among them our businessmen, to travel freely between the two countries. So geographic distance is a major issue, but this puts additional obligation on the shoulders of the governments and the states to ensure the circumstances for the cooperation, regardless of the big geographic distance.
That's not even a problem anymore now that you have embarked on a big investment in Sri Lanka.
Sure. And this is the biggest Hungarian road construction project so far away from Hungary.
Great. Minister, speaking of the human rights situation, you had major concerns. And we also saw international bodies and organizations expressing similar sentiments when it comes to the human rights situation in Sri Lanka. Have we improved? Have we taken a step forward in your view?
Look, I always base my foreign policy approach on mutual respect. This means that we never think that we might be wiser or smarter than the citizens of that given country. That's why I never interfere into domestic issues of other countries. I have seen the reports at the Human Rights Council. I have seen the reports in different UN bodies about the situation here. We understand that your government puts a lot of efforts in ensuring the security and safety of your citizens. We understand that you had to be faced with terrorist attacks here in the country. We understand your government is fighting very hard against these terrorist organizations in order to ensure the security and safety for the citizens. We respect that, and we never interfere. If you need any kind of help, if we can help, we definitely do help. But I mean, you know, judging or lecturing you, it's not our cup of tea.
You're also the ministry in charge of the power sector of the country. Sri Lanka is currently facing a power crisis due to shortage in dollars and several other matters. What is the policy of your government in terms of the power sector, and what do you rely on when it comes to power generation in the country?
Look, entire Europe is now being faced with energy crisis. So it's your situation is not a exclusive situation, let's put it this way, or not unusual currently, unfortunately. There are countries in Europe suffering from this challenge also, and I think that the major reason for that was that there were some mistakes committed in the European Union. First of all, we Hungarians use nuclear energy. Almost 50% of our electricity demand is being supplied by nuclear. And now we are building our next nuclear power plant in order to increase this share of nuclear up to 80%, because we consider nuclear as a safe, cheap, sustainable way of generating energy. But the European Union built a kind of an anti-nuclear sentiment, which is a big problem. On the other hand, we use natural gas also. I mean, natural gas is a very important source of energy. But since European Union has put forward very ambitious green goals, which is fine, they forgot about the transitioning period. Right. And during the transitioning period, you need to use natural gas. And apart from or besides this anti-nuclear sentiment, a anti-natural gas sentiment has also been built, which is again, you know, not beneficial from the perspective of the energy supply. We Hungarians do believe in environmental protection. We have been the first country in Europe which has ratified the Paris Agreement, and we are among those 21 countries in the world which proved to be able to increase GDP while decreasing emission. So we are very proud of that. And we are committed to the green goals, but we always have to be aware of economic improvement and environmental protection. These two must go hand in hand. So you must not be hypocritical, and you have to keep the balance between the two. If you are failing to do so, then you can get in trouble. So that's why I think that nuclear has to play an important role in the future, and as long as we are getting there to the green goals, gas needs to play an important role also.
Minister, just to get perspective from your end, when the government, the Hungarian government, is to make a decision when it comes to, like you said, the economic development, could be the welfare of the people, what is the checklist? What are the basic areas that you cover when you make a decision as big as something related to power, could be related to trade? What is the checklist? What are the basic areas that you cover?
Look, we are a small and landlocked country in Central Europe, so we always have to be sure about our national interest. And our compass must be the national interest. So whenever we make any kind of decision, be it major or minor, the compass, what we have to follow is fulfilling national interest. And if we follow national interest, we cannot make too big mistakes. So I think it's very important that countries should be able to carry out independent and sovereign policies, and the sovereign policy making and decision making procedures of certain countries must be respected by the others.
Sri Lanka is currently striving to be a country successfully export oriented. We are trying to get there so we can help and rebuild our economy. What can we export to your country. What are the opportunities we have in terms of that?
Well, I understand that you are very successful in supporting your agricultural products, especially fruits. I have tasted some here today, and I have to tell you that there's a good reason why you are so successful. Tobacco products also. When I look at your export list to Hungary, then fruits and tobacco products are on the top of the list, and we understand that that European Union is one of your major trading partner. We Hungarians put a lot of emphasis on exports also. Our export over GDP ratio has exceeded 85% just very recently. Since we are a small economy, we need to be strong in exports. And regardless of the fact that we are only number 95 globally when it comes to population, we rank number 34 when it comes to the export achievement. And that determines our national economic performance very, very much.
Minister, speaking about employment opportunities in your country, what kind of opportunities do our migrant workers have to enter into your country and engage in employment?
Look, we still have around 3.5% unemployment rate in the country. So as long as there are Hungarians who are not having a job, we rather prefer the Hungarians to find a job. And there are some very, let's say, I wouldn't say strict, but determined regulations according to which foreign workers can enter Hungary and can take jobs there. We have a restriction saying that foreign-owned companies can have 20% of their staff from abroad. We have a list of jobs, and we have a list of countries from where employees can be imported without special procedures. From other countries, you have to undergo a special procedure, and if the judgment is that there's no Hungarian who could fulfill the job, then it's an open opportunity for the foreigners to come.
How about the education opportunities? What kind of encouragement do our students, the Sri Lanka students, get to enter your beautiful country and engage in their education activities?
Well, today one of the success stories we built together is the agreement between the two countries on the field of scholarships. We will provide 20 scholarships for Sri Lankan students from next September onwards on the Hungarian universities on English language courses. Out of these 20 scholarships, 8 can be utilized for BA, 8 for MA, and 4 for PhD studies on the field of agriculture, machinery, technology, and economy. So from next September onwards, I mean this September onwards, we are looking forward to receiving 20 Sri Lankan students. All expenses will be covered by the Hungarian state, and we hope that these 20 Sri Lankan students on an annual basis will become goodwill ambassadors and promoters of the bilateral relationship. So I hope that there will be a lot of students submitting the requests, and 20 of them will be hosted in Budapest for a year by the Hungarian government from September.
Minister, I think COVID-19 was a massive disaster, not just to Sri Lanka or Hungary, but also to the entire world. What's your success story when it comes to tackling COVID-19 in terms of your country?
Look, from the very beginning, we made it very clear that the vaccination is the solution. And we considered the vaccines as tools to save lives of the people and not political statements. So that's why, like Sri Lanka, by the way, we have approved the use of vaccines manufactured in the East as well. So apart from the Western vaccines, we've been using both Sputnik and Sinopharm from Russia and from China. And I have to tell you that we have very good experience with that. And when the Western deliveries were still very low, then these Eastern vaccines have helped us to accelerate the vaccination campaign of the country. So we were the first country in the European Union to reach a vaccination rate of 60%, which has helped us to reopen the economy, reopen the country, and to build a 6.4% economic growth last year, which is a kind of achievement after such a year that was in 2019. So 2020. So vaccination was the key, and we continued our policy of reducing tax rates, especially eventually during the crisis also. So with low tax rates, we have helped the companies to employ more people, to make investments instead of, these downscaling activities or firing people. So actually, there are now more people working in Hungary than ever since 1990, since our transition from communism to democracy, and we have the lowest unemployment rate since then.
So basically, even at the face of a pandemic, your government managed to encourage and push the people forward instead of bringing them back.
Yeah, absolutely. We have not spent money on social basis. We have spent the money to encourage investments. We have financed the investments of the companies with the precondition that these companies have not fired the people. So instead of firing the people, instead of closing factories, instead of downscaling activities, going forward, investing into technology, into capacity, and employ more people. That was our policy.
Just to pick your brain, when governing a country, there are plenty of other issues like the economic, social, even when it comes to development activities. But your government is quite small, and you yourself holds two major ministerial portfolios. How do you move forward? What is the secret?
Look, this is not a coalition government. It's a one-party government, which helps to be effective. Our political party occupies 2/3 of the seats in the parliament. So it's a constitutional majority which enables us to make quick decisions, effective decisions. The government is concentrated in a way that we have only 12 ministries, which means that there are big portfolios, but coordination and cooperation between the portfolios is easy.
So one minister has to put in a lot of work in order.
But we like it. Like it and enjoy it. Like it and enjoy it.
Thank you, Minister. What is going to be our next step? What is the way forward for you?
Well, actually, here I will have very important meetings with your Prime Minister, with your Foreign Minister, with your Minister of Education and Minister of Highways. And from here, I'm flying back to Hungary to spend just a couple hours there and then fly on to France, where the Foreign Ministers of the European Union will meet to discuss very relevant and very important issues.
Thank you, Minister, for joining us, even during a tight schedule. It was a very brief visit, but we are honored that you gave Newsfirst the opportunity to speak exclusively to us.
Thank you so
Minister.
much.
And I hope you come back again and visit the beautiful parts of the country.
That's what I hope for.
Great. That was the Hungarian Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade, Mr. Péter Szijjártó, speaking to Newsfirst exclusively during his brief visit to Sri Lanka. Well, we hope you learned something out of how the Hungarian government acts and how, in terms of moving forward, how effective the decisions have been, putting the national interest first. That's it from Newsfirst for now. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Azra Assan with my wonderful team working behind the scenes. Take care.